Maybe you're tired, not of walking, but of trying to get out of a place that always seems to pull you back. An invisible, subtle, deep place. It's as if you were standing in front of an open door, but with your feet still chained to the ground where you learned to survive. The truth is that many of us are no longer living. We're just repeating ourselves. And repeating is not the same as living. Repeating is surviving with the same pain, with the same beliefs, with the same silent gestures of self-protection that were once necessary, but that today, perhaps, are preventing you from moving on. You feel like you've already understood a lot, that you've tried hard enough, that you've read, heard, and sought all the answers. And yet, there's something that's holding you back, something that deep down still holds you back. And this something almost always isn't outside, it's inside. It's hidden in the parts of your mind that you don't consciously access. Bruce Lipton shows us that until the age of 7, we live in a mental state called the theta wave, similar to the state of hypnosis. During this period, everything we hear, see, and feel is absorbed as absolute truth. And these truths form the basis of our subconscious, which controls 95% of everything we do, feel, choose, and even reject in adult life. In other words, it's not that you don't want to change. It's that a part of you, silent, ancient, and invisible, still believes that it's not safe to change. And here comes the paradox. You want to manifest a new life. You deeply desire to escape pain. You affirm every day that you are ready to experience a new love, a new health, a new peace, but the mind that controls your movements is still stuck in survival. It is still programmed to keep you safe, not to allow you to expand. And safety, for it, is what is familiar, even if it hurts. That is why many of us live trying to create the new with our awakened consciousness, but are pulled day after day by the silent force of the subconscious that only knows the old. This is where many people get stuck. They don't understand why, even though they want it so much, they feel stagnant. Why the same patterns keep coming back. Why the same types of relationships, the same speeches, the same triggers, the same emotional abysses come back over and over again as if life were stuck in a loop. And it's not because you're unworthy. It's not because you're weak. It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because you're trying to change what you see without changing what you vibrate. You're trying to write a new story with old ink. Neville Goddard said, "You don't attract what you desire. You attract what you believe to be true." This means that what you are experiencing today is not a reflection of what you want. It is a reflection of what your body, mind, and vibration believe to be true. What keeps you stuck is not the desire. It is the vibrational identity that holds that desire without letting it blossom. That is why sometimes you feel like you are moving towards the light, but you are still surrounded by inner shadows that you have not yet had the courage to look at. It's like being inside a golden cage, beautiful, comfortable, familiar. You can see the sky, you can even stretch your arms through the bars. But when you try to get out, something inside you hesitates. Because on some level, that familiar space still feels safer than the unknown vastness of the new. The soul wants to fly, but the mind still clings to what it knows. And then time passes, dreams repeat themselves, pain does too. But something inside you begins to whisper, enough is enough. And it is at that point, at that exact point, where suffering no longer serves as a shield, that transformation can begin. Not by the force of conscious will, but by the courage to dive deep and ask honestly,
What inside me still believes it is not safe to be free? Because to truly move forward, you must first understand what is keeping you trapped.
Before we continue, consider leaving your like and subscribing to the channel to receive our next content.
You are not stuck with what happened. You are stuck with the way your mind recorded what happened. The past itself is gone, but the way it was imprinted inside you, that is what keeps vibrating. The emotional pain you felt in that silent childhood, in that unexplained abandonment, in that phrase that diminished you, in that gesture that ignored you, all of this may have become an invisible pattern. And invisible patterns are not broken by logic. They are broken by awareness. They are broken by presence. Bruce Lipton shows us, through behavioral epigenetics, that the subconscious mind is like a continuous recording, a defense system programmed to replay everything that once protected you. If you learned that being invisible was safer than being rejected, then your mind still tries to protect you by making you hide, even when all you want is to be seen. If you learned that love was dangerous because it always ended in pain, then perhaps you are blocking love not by choice, but by protection. The old pain becomes a silent code of self-preservation. The subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between emotional and physical threats. This means that when you feel like you're getting closer to something good but unknown, like a deeper relationship, greater freedom, real change, your mind interprets it as a risk, and it defends itself. It shuts down. It sabotages itself. Because what it wants is not to stop you from growing. It wants to stop you from suffering again. It's as if there's a silent guardian inside you, a protector who lives in the cave of your mind with watchful eyes and a hardened heart. He's learned that it's safer to stay in the dark than to risk going out and getting hurt again. He's not your enemy. He's just a part of you that's too afraid of repeating the pain that once almost broke you. But what he hasn't realized yet is that you're not that child anymore. You're not in that place anymore. What threatened you before is no longer there, but your mind hasn't understood that yet. And maybe now for the first time, you can sit before that inner guardian and compassionately ask, "What are you trying to protect me from feeling again?" Because healing doesn't begin when you try to escape the pain. Healing begins when you understand why it's still there, why it keeps coming back. Pain doesn't come back to punish you. It comes back to show you that there's still a part of you that didn't feel safe enough to let go of the past. You don't have to force this part to disappear. You just have to understand it. And when that happens, something inside you will start to move, something silent but real, like a sun rising through the crack of a forgotten cave, like a seed that sprouts at the exact moment you finally decide to listen to what it has to say. Because maybe, just maybe, what holds you back the most today is not what happened. It's the story your mind keeps telling you, so that you never have to feel that way again. And until that story is reinterpreted, it will continue to write the end of your choices, even if you want a new beginning.
It is paradoxical to think that the thing that hurts us the most can be, at the same time, the thing that keeps us most trapped. Suffering, especially when it is repeated throughout life, creates a kind of emotional familiarity, a familiar, even if uncomfortable, territory. This familiarity becomes, in a way, an invisible prison, a sunken mattress where the body and mind already know exactly how to settle, even while secretly dreaming of something different. Bruce Lipton has brought to light something profound. Our bodies can become addicted to the neurochemicals of stress, such as cortisol and adrenaline. These substances, despite being warning signs of danger, end up establishing a chemical pattern that the body recognizes and, curiously, prefers. Thus, suffering can become a default state, an internal reference that the body seeks even if it means constant emotional pain. More than the pain itself, what keeps us rooted in this cycle is the meaning that the ego attributes to it. Suffering creates a sense of belonging, an identity, and even a justification for many of our choices and behaviors. It becomes a shield, a way of protecting the soul against the fear of the unknown, of change, and of loss. Clinging to this pain can then seem like a paradoxical form of security. This invisible attachment manifests itself in the repetition of the same patterns in relationships, professional choices, and limiting beliefs that we carry. As much as reason wants to break this cycle, emotion, deeply rooted in the body, resists. The soul knows that there is something beyond, but the body insists on staying where it knows how to breathe, even if the air is heavy. Recognizing this emotional dependence is a delicate step, as it involves looking at your own suffering without judgment, without haste, and with kindness. It is understanding that you are not trapped by weakness, but by a natural mechanism of self-preservation that at some point in your life played a vital role. From this understanding, the possibility of liberation opens up, a liberation that happens slowly through acceptance and compassion for all parts of yourself. In this process, the soul begins to remember its flight. The mind, once vigilant, learns to relax its guard, and the body, tired of the cycle, finds new rhythms and new colors to inhabit. Suffering loses its power to be a prison and becomes a bridge to expansion. Because it is not suffering that imprisons, it is the meaning we give it. And when that meaning changes, everything begins to change too. True transformation doesn't happen in sudden leaps or sudden changes. It happens when you build a bridge between who you were and who you want to be, step by step, with patience and presence. Bruce Lipton reminds us that behavioral epigenetics provides a powerful window into this transformation. You are not trapped by your genes because your mind and emotions can reprogram their expression. The key is to notice what is still hidden, acknowledge your emotions, and allow the energy contained within them to be relocated to a new vibration. The process begins by bringing to light what lives in the shadows, the repetitive pattern that keeps the cycle going. Naming what seemed invisible is a courageous act. By naming what holds you back, you step out of the autopilot mode and become a conscious observer of your own inner world. This simple act begins to weaken the power of old programming. Then comes the possibility of feeling the emotion that accompanies this pattern, but without identifying with it. It is an invitation to become a serene witness, a loving presence that welcomes pain, fear, or anguish without getting lost in the suffering. This distance allows the emotion to no longer control your choices, to stop being a burden and become a sign that there is an opportunity for healing. Finally, there is the opportunity to replace the automatic impulse with a new choice, a word, a gesture, a sincerely felt statement. This choice doesn't have to be grand. It just needs to be made with intention and lived emotionally. This is the vibrational bridge that connects the old to the new, the shadow to the light, the fear to the courage. You don't just jump to the other side, you build the crossing step by step. In everyday life, these small choices become acts of alignment between mind, emotion, and action. A different look, a conscious breath, a silent thank you. These seemingly simple actions create a field of coherence that transforms not only your biology, but also your experience of the world. Your frequency changes, and with it, the reality you manifest begins to transform. The bridge metaphor helps us remember that change is not magic, but it is possible. With each firm step, you leave behind the golden cage and advance towards the vastness of your own potential. And on this path, you find not only freedom, but a profound reconnection with your essence, the one that always knew how to fly, even when it seemed imprisoned. Close your eyes again and breathe deeply. Allow the softness of this moment to envelop you as it echoes an essential truth. You are not trapped by what you have experienced. You are simply hypnotized by who you have learned to be in order to survive. This silent hypnosis, woven into your early life experiences, has shaped your biology and your emotions, creating an internal field that responds to memories of the past, not desires of the present. Bruce Lipton invites us to realize that our biology is not a final judgment. It responds to the internal environment we cultivate. When we replace fear with conscious awareness, we create an environment conducive to healing and rebirth. This transformation doesn't happen by magic, but through the courage to look within and embrace each fragment of ourselves with love. Joe Dispenza states that we do not attract what we want, but what we are in essence. This phrase carries profound power. Your current vibration is the key that opens or closes the doors of your reality. And this vibration can be transformed when you stop resisting who you have been and embrace the possibility of being who you want to become. Everything that has not been healed returns as a vibrational echo, repeating itself in your choices, in your thoughts, in your relationships. This repetition is not a punishment, but an invitation to deep healing. Ask yourself, with silent honesty, what part of you still holds the key to the cell where your soul was locked for fear of failing again? That key is in your hands. Only you can turn it. Moving forward, therefore, is not an abrupt leap into the unknown. It is a gradual liberation, done with small steps, with conscious breathing, with the kindness of those who allow themselves to learn and transform. Each moment offers the opportunity to let go of what no longer belongs in your field of expansion and to make room for the life you deserve to live. May this truth be with you. Your journey is not about running away from pain, but about rediscovering the light that has always shined within you. And this light, when released, can illuminate paths that once seemed impossible. Thank you for being here, for allowing yourself this moment of presence and reflection. May your journey be light, deep, and full of meaning.